There is nothing wrong with your internet. Do not attempt to adjust your settings. We are controlling the podcast. We control the squealing and the screams. We can make your heart flutter, your eyes blur from tears, or sharpen your mind to crystal clarity. For the next hour, sit back. We are in control of what you hear. We repeat, there is nothing wrong with your settings. You are about to experience the awe and mystery known as the female mind. You are now entering the Fangirl Zone.
Welcome to 47 Survivors on the Fangirl Zone, a podcast on the ABC TV series The Crossing. I'm Terry.
I'm Sean, Fangirl S.
And I'm Steve, and we'll be discussing episode 9 of The Crossing.
All right, Steve, what do you got for us with ratings this week?
All right, episode 9 brought in a 0.6 and a 3 share in adults 18 to 49 with 3.04 million viewers.
That's up.
Which were all up
Nice.
from the previous week and the previous several weeks, actually.
Come on. I mean, we have so much going on during, like, the second half of most of these seasons, which they're putting new shows out. You got to remember. You have, like, sports happening. And come on. When you had the Golden Knights make it to Stanley Cup, their first season in the league, that was kind of huge. So a lot of people were not watching their regular shows.
And Washington actually getting to the Stanley Cup. Just as huge.
Yes, it's true. Oh, man, I wish I put $20 in Vegas on the Golden Knights, so damn. Anyway, I'd have had so much money. And a little bit of news, too, you have for us about our show.
Yes. Episode 10 and 11 are airing on Saturday, June 9th, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern.
So I'm glad we're getting our show.
Back to back. Yes, we get to finish the show.
So that'll be the actual finale then that day, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it won't be live tweeted our normal time, but hopefully we'll have most of the people on with us.
Yep. From what I gathered, most of the people that live tweet with us will be there.
Awesome. And Terry will be waving from the sidelines.
Yes, I'm twitless.
Pom Pom.
That's right. I am. Just call me Pom Pom. That's right. It's my new nickname, Pom Pom.
It's Twitter Pom Poms.
Sounds like a candy.
I swear I would have make you Twitter now. That's going to be called Twitter Pom Poms. Just
that sounds like a candy, like new Nestle's Twitter Pom Pom.
Oh my God.
That's good.
Now I just picture Terry with pom poms. Okay. All right. So episode 9. Who's taking us in? Because I can't
like
now.
Jabba the Hutt in a cheerleader skirt. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that. You're all heart. Thanks.
That's going to be the picture. Okay. All right. Get it together, Sean. All right. I'm going to try episode 9.
Yeah, sure you are.
Hope
I
smile.
think you should start that.
Hope smiles from the threshold. A local homeless woman's surprise connection to the crossing provides Jude and Nestor with crucial answers about what really happened at the threshold. Meanwhile, Naomi's growing influence at the camp leads to a shocking confrontation.
Shocking.
Oh, goodness. We got a lot more answers than I was expecting this episode.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
All right.
This was really good. This was better than last week's, yeah.
I would like to talk about the future.
All right. Go for it.
We actually see what happened during the departure, which was surprising. I didn't think we were actually ever going to see this. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, we kept seeing just little bits.
So we had, in the year 2194, Rebecca's daughter, Rachel, being taken in the night. And I was surprised, I don't know about you guys, because they didn't even try to take out Rachel. Like, I just assumed they would take the kids and kill the parents.
Yeah.
So were either of you surprised that didn't happen?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
I guess they were assuming that Mantel's disease would be the thing that would go ahead and take them out.
Take them, sure, yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, let them wither away. Yeah, less bullets we have to use. or whatever technology it is, just take her because we want her, and they're going to wither away over a generation or two. So,
you know what? That's interesting. I can't talk. You guys brought that up. Then why wouldn't they assume that the kids somehow would have mantles if they designed it to take those kids out?
Well, they have a cure to that.
Do they officially? I thought they said there was no cure.
I thought they said there was. Oh, no? Okay.
There's no cure for it.
Oh, okay.
For humans.
Oh, see, now the plot thickens. Great. Now I have another question. We only have 2 more episodes.
I got to put down my pom-poms then. Hold on.
So, following this incident, though, Caleb, who wasn't there during this incident, he was very distraught about it, we shall say.
Yeah.
So he had decided that we need to leave now. We need to get the heck out, and we need to go to the Long Peace. But of course, Rebecca at this point is like, they just took our daughter. We need to find her. I understand her point of view, and I also understand Caleb's. Because Caleb, who has been basically fighting, I'm guessing he's been resistance this whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
He's never, in the whole time he's been doing this, found any of the kids. So I understand strictly from I don't think we'll ever see her point of view, and we don't know if she's even alive, even though that has to be like the worst thing you could ever feel as a parent. We need to get out and save ourselves, which, that's gotta be so hard. And Rebecca, of course, wanting to stay. But, like, how do you guys feel about it? Like, do you think Caleb jumped it too soon, or do you think that they just weren't showing us the actual time span before that decision was made?
It could be that, but I think that we saw in the two of them the kind of feelings that a parent of the pair would have conflicted inside of them. I want to rescue my child, Mama or Papa Bear protecting their cub, but also their apex is so powerful that the odds of being able to get her back are pretty slim. So it's kind of like, to me, they were using both of them to show the dichotomy of a person racking their brain. I want to do this, but maybe I better go do that, and how much that struggle is. So instead of seeing one of the two of them going through that struggle, we're seeing the two ends of that struggle in each of them.
Right.
You know, she being the bear protecting her cub, and then he being the more pragmatic one of, that sucks that they got her. I don't like it either, but how the heck are we going to ever get her back? And if he was indeed part of the resistance, he knew why they were taking them. So,
right.
I know.
I think he knew why they were taking them, and I think Rebecca either was part of the resistance slightly or not as much as Caleb was, because Naomi's the one previously who explained to her why her and other kids were taken. She seems to get that information for the first time from Naomi.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know. I kind of go off script asking you guys these questions, but these are the things that kind of like stuck out to me.
Right.
And that's why I'm like, I can't be the only one. Okay. So
No, I mean, they get your kid and you're in a hopeless situation as it is.
yes.
They know that there is a possibility of getting to the Long Peace, and the only way that they think that Caleb thinks that they're going to even be able to survive is to get to the Long Peace and start all over.
And trying to get there, we do see the threshold, which we don't see what it was, but it was like in a warehouse.
yeah.
And the line to get in there, like, that's not a way to hide whatever's happening, is all I'm saying.
No.
There was hundreds of people, if not thousands.
Thousands.
Yeah, it was like a lineup.
Line went almost all the way to the city.
It
It was like a
Black
lineup-
Friday to an extreme.
Yes.
It was like a lineup for a Nickelback concert. But,
Wait, I don't think the lines are that long anymore, but...
the other thing that has not come out at all, and not that they really need to do this, but the other thing you're talking about, asking questions or ideas that kind of offshoot, is that nothing's been said, and not that you have a kid to replace another one, I'm not saying that, but it's never been said that Rebecca can no longer have children. So maybe Caleb has the idea that we could still have another child and still have a family. Whether he's being so shallow, it's like, oh, you lost one, replace another, like car. Or he realizes the situation as dire as it was, and maybe he's thinking if we make it to the Long Peace and everything works out, somehow, some way, if we get settled down again, we could start another family again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think he does kind of say that too at one point.
Really?
I thought so. Maybe I'm just projecting what I kind of feel like he was thinking.
I don't think they've ever said anything about she can't have kids anymore. So, like I said, it could be that he is so businesslike that he is like, oh, that's not really the husbandry thing to say of, we're going to have another one and replace the one we lost. Or he could be more of a loving husband and somehow saying at some point, maybe we could start another family if things work out. Mm-hmm. So, and I think even Rebecca would have not an easy time with that conversation, no matter how tenderly Caleb might put it. She'd be like, yeah, but we lost we lost Rachel.
Yeah, I can see it not being an easy conversation.
No, it wouldn't be anyway. Sure, yeah. Yeah, like even if you just had a kid who got some disease and died young, it's like, you don't just sit there and say, it's been 2 weeks, let's procreate.
Right.
You just don't do that. But still, it would be a tough conversation. So, I don't know, maybe that's part of what he's thinking. I don't know.
Well, even when Caleb, again, Mr. All Business, and he's got to be much stronger, which is probably means when he breaks down, it's going to be the worst thing that we see. But he's inside the warehouse, and he sees a guy, I think the name was Eli, and he's the one who has Naomi with him.
Yep.
And how does he know that this guy is a con man right away? Which this is a big question mark for me. It's like, all right, so he knows some stuff, and he doesn't know who the kid is, though. And he doesn't realize who Naomi is until she wakes up and she starts doing all the weird writing in the cabin. But he seemed to know that, or do you think he just pieced it together, that Eli was just going to use Naomi for his own gain in the past or present?
Right, yeah. I believe he knew who Eli was.
Yeah.
But not who Naomi was.
Right.
Okay.
And if this girl was associated with Eli, then more than likely she's a con person too.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Oh,
there's something. There's something about her that just kind of strikes as, false guru to me.
Right.
It just.
She knows the history and she can profit on that.
Sure.
But
something just doesn't seem right.
Right.
It could be
I haven't really seen any kind of extreme high intelligence from her like the others. So that must have been a con job just to get her into being one of the children that the Apex took.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we finally find out who this mystery woman is. Well, mostly. Her name's Diana. And she is with a woman, I don't know, scientist or whatnot, but we find out later that it's her wife, Grace, that they're the ones who built the machine and were operating the time machine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, so she has an idea. Maybe she can do something else in the now. But we see Reese also push to the front of the line with her daughter, and she knocked a guy, clean out, and nobody even, thought twice about it.
I know. What the hell?
But she's like, Apex are coming. We need to go. And I don't know why they didn't ask her, how she knew. Just they're all freaked out, oh, crap, they're coming. And suddenly we hear some explosions, and obviously the place is now under siege, and everybody starts to panic. Yeah, because I would be panicking too. Well, that's going to cause a stampede. And everybody who is inside the building, they're probably not making it as it is.
Yep,
so all those people pushing from the back really aren't making it.
Right.
The only thing that seemed odd was, nobody knew that she was Apex in the future, in the flash forward back.
Yeah, I know. It's difficult.
Nobody seemed to know that. They, she knew that they were coming, and all of a sudden you heard the bombs in the distance getting closer. Whereas on this side, in the present day, they know about her.
Right.
When they were walking Hannah around, why is everybody looking at me? And they're just trying to pass off the story about, well, I forget what they said. Someone's been sick for a while, and now you're doing better, and they didn't want to see if you're okay or whatever, trying to calm her concerns. But they're looking at her like they know who she is.
Well, it was because nobody ever survives Mantel's disease.
Yeah, and Caleb seems to know that Reese is Apex.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, so it seems like there's a trickle of knowledge about Reese now. where it did seem like nobody knew it then. She just stormed ahead of the line and said, we got to get going because Apex is coming.
Right.
That was the only thing that seemed kind of odd to me. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it's because of the confusion of what happened. Like, maybe not everybody realized who she was. But we also find out why everybody landed in the ocean, finally. Because they did not have time to calibrate the machine. And they did say, though, that they were not going to be able to get everybody out.
Right.
Which, obviously, this means it's not something along the lines of, like, the Stargate, like I think we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Where you can just keep going through. It's like a group and then... And finally we find out that it's supposed to have been destroyed, but we don't really know.
That's right.
And this is where it's like,
count on it not being destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
And that could have taken us into season 2 quite easily.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So, that makes me so mad. What if they drop that little tidbit on us and we don't have a season 2?
Yeah.
Jerks.
Yep. All right. So, who wants to talk about the locals?
I'll take it. So Jude finally gets to talk to our so-called Mary, who was arrested at the roadblock. And of course, she has no ID and isn't offering any information. And Jude and Nestor go aside and discuss possibly taking a different approach. And Jude comes back and tells her he knows about the threshold and the first arrival.
Whoa!
But she doesn't even flinch.
No, doesn't blink an eye. So you go, okay, well, that's this one calm cookie here.
Right? It's like, okay, maybe she doesn't know, except we know she does know. Maybe she had amnesia or something.
Right. So, of course, Jude gets her stuff and brings it in and tells her she's free to go.
Oh, wait, but wasn't he asking her, oh, you're free to go if you can name a Kardashian?
Yeah, anything in pop culture.
A
like
football
one of
team.
Yeah.
Any team. Yeah. Apparently they don't have Kardashian. Well, they probably all died off, but apparently they don't have football in the 22nd century.
No.
But
Probably not.
What got me is when he brings her a sandwich and, like, he's not in the room. And it's a BLT, and she's looking at it and smelling the bacon. I'm like, what is wrong with you? That's bacon. Okay. See, obviously, I'm a carnivore, so
Yeah.
I'm not trying to upset any vegetarians out there, but bacon is
It's the Holy Grail.
for those of us who eat meat. And I was just like, she looked so like, what is this? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Now you know she's not from around here.
Yeah.
Right there. That was your test.
I'd like to see a scene where they go to like a communal table in the camp and they bring like 20 bags of McDonald's and the people just stare at it trying to figure out what it is.
Right.
Like, what is this?
Here's some ice cream. What the hell? Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? They probably just have Dippin' Dots in the future.
Oh, that'd be sad. Sorry.
So later on, see Jude and Nestor in the vehicle tracking something. And you go,
Of course.
You sneaky sly dog, you.
Oh, and you knew that.
Of course. So
Yeah.
they pull up to an abandoned home and find Mary inside.
Oh yeah, she seemed so pissed that they tracked her. She's like, "You followed me?" And he's like, "No, we put a tracker on you."
Yeah, this followed you.
And at that point, she's just like, "Fine." It's like, "Well, that was easy."
Yeah.
Nestor comes in and says, Jude, you need to see this.
What did you guys think it was before we seen it?
I thought she was building a TARDIS. Just my own.
I would be
personal
okay
opinion.
with that.
Yeah, I would too.
Right.
You mean before we actually saw the device?
Yeah.
I thought it might have been a picture or something.
Ooh.
Nah, and being what it actually ended up being made the most sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She said before we saw it. I'm like, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's a Vegematic. You know, it slices it.
When we seen it, I was thinking it was like some kind of bomb. It's like, what the heck?
A bomb or a bong? Wait.
With a B at the end.
Okay, got you.
Oh my goodness.
Waiting for Cheech Chong to show up. Hey, man, what you got over here?
All right, Steve. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, so she explains to Jude and Nestor that she tried to seal the threshold as she passed through so Apex could not cross. but she can't be sure, so she built a device that would potentially alert her when someone makes the crossing.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a little just throwaway line, does it?
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
So, of course, they end up going back to the station, and Diane tells Jude that the first arrival was 24 adults and one 10-year-old girl.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what does this mean?
Little bomb drop there.
Yeah.
No, okay, did they actually say 10-year-old girl or a 10-year-old? And I only ask this because when we have the situation at the police department, they keep showing this really young police officer. And that's why I wasn't sure if they had said girl, because they just kept looking at the younger cop in the station, and I'm like, what if it's him?
That's a good question. I think they said girl, but now you're asking, now I'm not sure.
I just thought it seemed kind of weird, and that's why I was thinking maybe I didn't hear girl.
Yeah.
See, I trust nothing.
I know, I've heard that about you. So do you think that at some point in our final 2 back-to-back episodes, we're going to see that device work?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to kick on?
I definitely think so.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yep.
Yeah. I think if you had a season 2, you wouldn't let it turn on until then, but I think we might see it,
Yeah, like it would have been in the finale.
Sure.
So, of course, Jude automatically goes to his files and pulls out pictures of Lindauer and Greta. And sure enough, they were part of the first arrival, but their names are Noah and Eve.
Yeah, I think the next time he sees Lindauer, he needs to be like, hey, Noah.
Yeah, I do too. Now then, Nestor comes in and informs Jude he has a visitor.
This can only end well.
Yeah. So apparently the first arrivals have caught wind of Diana's presence and send Doyle, formerly Delilah, as an FBI agent to retrieve her from the station.
Mm-hmm.
Now Jude played this really well.
Oh, he was
God.
amazing. He deserves an Academy Award for that.
Yeah.
Let me go make a call and see what her status is. And, of course, he goes into his office, has Diane take a peek, and she says, yes, that's Delilah, the assassin.
Yeah, that's good.
That was Steve Zahn's best scene in the series so far.
Oh, it was.
I loved it. He played it right on the mark. Oh, it was so good. The only thing that would have made it perfect was if he gave her the raspberry,
Right. So, of course, he comes back out and informs her that you just missed her. They just let her go.
Yeah. Oh, shucks.
Oh, yeah. And then it's like, and to put a little salt on that wound. When he's like, you know what? You can get everything we have. We're just going to need that paperwork. Paper trail. And, when he says that, and she's just looking at him, like, you just seen the daggers flying out of her eyes?
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Yeah.
You knew she wanted to, blow up the joint, but it's like, I got to play it cool. This guy's really yanking my chain, but I got to play it cool. Mm-hmm. And he's just enjoying yanking the chain. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was so good. And Nestor's in the background. Nestor's kind of watching. You only see him, briefly, in the background because it's just focused on the two of them. And later when he walks over to Nestor's like, we got to move her. And Nestor's like, yep.
Yeah, Nestor did good keeping it together.
Yeah, beautiful.
Of course, later on, we see that they've moved her to Marshall's trailer. And as they're trying to figure out what to do to save the camp, Diana comes up with this statement, says, I can build a device to make the survivors disappear.
Yeah, and I'm like, what does that mean?
Say, what?
I was thinking Doctor Who in a pocket universe.
Right, yeah.
Or even Fringe had, within the parallel universe, they had a pocket universe.
Yeah.
In one of the episodes. So that's what I was thinking. Was she going to create this cone within a cone within a cone? A bubble or what? Yeah. And what's it going to take to build it? She's got this device, and Nestor can carry the device because he moves it.
Right.
He's able to carry it and move it, which I guess you don't need a large contraption to figure that stuff out, I would imagine.
No, because basically she tells him that this device actually measures barometric pressure.
Yeah. So
when it goes up, that's when something's going on.
And I'm thinking, okay, well, yeah, that doesn't need to be, it could have been a large device. It could have been, like you said, Nestor could carry it. But you're going to do that to hide all the survivors. Like, well, how big is that going to have to be? I don't think you can have a device around the same size as that to accomplish that goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think so.
I guess we have to wait and see.
Well, let's go to the camp.
Let's go.
Let's go camping. Never mind. So there's some graffiti, and I was kind of looking for like the kind of art with the funky stylized letters, not just slapped on one color paint, monochrome 4-letter thing. But I guess that counts as graffiti too. WDTL.
What does that mean?
What does Terry like? And,
Terry,
I like pom-poms.
Terry likes pom-poms.
I like Twitter pom-poms and grape and cherry. So yeah, they kept mentioning it. We didn't see the WTL right away. They kept mentioning about this graffiti on a building before they had the camera where you could see it. And we see Rebecca confessing to Naomi. Rebecca is really falling under Naomi's spell. And she confides in her that she feels she abandoned Rachel. And Naomi, of course, is using that to further lure her into leaving the camp that night. Oh boy.
Again, this can only end well.
Exactly. Late night 7-Eleven run. And someone or some people has started this graffiti tagging the acronym WDTL on the cabins. And we later find out that it stands for We Deserve to Live. And that was a phrase that became a symbol of the rebellion in the future. Kind of like in Fringe, where Etta died and they had pictures of her with simply the word resist in posters and on sides of buildings. So this was there across the board. Everybody gets this who's in the rebellion battle cry, WDTL. And you could paint that faster than painting all 4 words, of course. WDTL, run, go to the next building. So Bryce had Roy and another agent paint over it. You're on paint duty. And Naomi actually meets with Bryce over at this place. It looks kind of cool, but it seems counterproductive. It's like this open air area with like a roof and like picnic tables there, but then there's like a fire thing there. It's like, well, what good of that fire going to do if you're in the open, unless you're sitting like right next to it? It looks like a neat space, but so she meets with Bryce and makes him an offer of wealth in exchange for escape and protection. I was kind of thinking about all these pop culture references. I was thinking about in the second Back to the Future where Marty gets that book of all the sports results. It's like, I'm from the future, and all you got to do, and she's telling him, all you got to do is what I tell you to do. So she's kind of like suckering him in. So she knows how to play people. That's, to me, that kind of further convinced me she's a con woman.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of nailed it for me right there. He refuses at first, and then she tells him that an earthquake magnitude 7.5 is going to hit Peru today. Yeah, right.
Right, because that hasn't happened. Although, didn't that actually just happen recently?
Yeah, somewhere down there.
That was really weird.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, you people are like future predictors. This is creepy. And so he sees the reports on TV of the earthquake, and they have camera shots on the ground like they do. Here's the death and devastation of the earthquake. And it's like, oh, my God. So that's probably the nail in the coffin for Bryce. It's like, well, I think I better follow this lady. So later, Lindauer meets with Bryce off camp and asks about Naomi and whether she has made any bold predictions. I wonder
why.
Yeah. And it struck me odd. Of course, she wasn't, we just saw her up and around here recently. But what struck me odd is, he's asking that about her now, and nobody's, like, he didn't ask Jude if Reese made any weird predictions. Of course, Reese doesn't seem to have that ability, or she's not interested in it anyway. It's like, yeah, we're sitting here saying, I wonder why, but it's like, we can figure out why, but it just seemed like now you're asking that about somebody. So that's why I don't know if Naomi is working for the first group.
Ooh.
Which him asking Bryce could be, you could say, well, then why would he ask Bryce? Well, he could be playing Bryce for a fool too, just pumping him for information, seeing if she is indeed working for the first group, if she's like shooting off her mouth about predictions and maybe blowing her cover.
Right.
So, but I thought it's just odd he's asking like now. Like, why wouldn't he showed up in the hospital when she was under,
I'm guessing he has no idea who she actually is and he's just fishing.
I think, well, why would he ask that question about her when she ends up actually?
Yeah.
Well, I think
he knows something.
Well, no, I think he did see the picture of the mark, right?
Right.
So that's probably why he's asking if there's a prediction.
Yeah,
but I think he's
the
really
rash.
fishing at this point.
Yeah, the rash. That's a rash. No, it's not, fool.
Like, you are the worst nurse ever if you think that's a rash.
Get her away from me and get me a Band-Aid.
Right.
So Bryce tells him that she hasn't, and he just wants to make sure she gets better.
Yeah, Bryce played him off. Which was interesting to see him do that because he's been so by the book up until this point.
He's fallen for it too. So
yeah, so maybe because of them finding Emma last week, maybe he's a little more, shall we say, curious about his boss.
Yeah, I would imagine that, and again, they don't have to do this, but I would imagine there might be more kinks in the armor, cracks in the wall, whatever analogy you want to use, about the agents there at the camp, and more news kind of trickling through the pipeline, because I'm sure they all talk to each other. And, more of them saying, what are we doing here? And what's this really all about?
Right.
So maybe that's the first kink, or it could simply be like we're saying, he's just falling under Naomi's spell. But he definitely is. He's playing both ends against the middle, it seems like, right now, until later in the episode. Caleb now is talking to Rebecca, and he warns her that people like Naomi, who can't get their way with brute force, are the most dangerous, and they get it by manipulation.
Well, he's not wrong.
Nope.
No.
Especially when he says, don't you remember when those kids basically lifted everything you had?
Right. Stole all your money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Caleb knows a lot more than I think we already suspect he does.
Right.
I think that might be why Caleb seems like, I guess you could say a hard ass, but like emotionless, because I think he's got so much that he knows and so much that he's keeping quiet that that's the way that it's manifesting. He's just kind of playing it monotone, and he's not really joking around, and he's not letting down his guard,
No, he's still doing what he was doing in the future.
Mm-hmm.
He might have been one of the big ones, because we saw some of that dynamic earlier in the season. He might have been one of the big honchos somehow, some way along the chain with the resistance.
Right.
Anyway, Caleb tries to explain the only way he can deal with the loss of their daughter is for him to move on, which is the way that some people do that.
Yep.
I know, but I'm just...
Yeah, I know. You got the groan from me, but yes, I get it.
Yeah. Rebecca eventually leaves with Naomi because she doesn't move, and everybody, Naomi's like, well, I will give Naomi points. I dig a lot of candles around in a room at nighttime. Doesn't have to be for romance. I just dig candles, so I give her points for ambiance. Anyway, so she's got everybody there, and they all start to leave, and Rebecca's kind of just sitting there, and Naomi comes over to her and wishes her well. She begins to leave, and Rebecca finally says, I'll go with you. Because there was a part where when she's walking away from Rebecca, I thought, well, damn, Rebecca's actually going to stay.
Oh.
Yeah, I thought so for a minute.
Yeah, I was like, oh, she's going to keep her butt right. Oh, crap. I'll go with you. Other refugees, Naomi and them, they go, and EJ leads them through the woods. To grandmother's house we go. And Bryce meets them before they escape and tells EJ to hand over his weapon.
Now, why do you think he knew EJ was the weak link?
I'm not sure he knew that it was EJ that was going to be the weak link. He just figured that Naomi would try another guard.
Oh, okay.
And it could have been a power move. He wanted to be the one to do it, or, and it would have had to have happened off camera, she might have played the two against each other.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Might have had a separate conversation that we didn't see with EJ, did that, but eventually, if Bryce is going to follow her, figured he was the stronger of the two, and said, well, come out to the woods, because it's like, how did he know how to be there to catch him?
Right.
Just by sheer luck? I mean, do they have guards wandering the woods? Seems like they only send the Homeland Security people out into the woods when there's a need to. Seems like they're quite comfortable having their guards just walking among the camp and then fencing the camp in.
Oh.
So they might have them go through the woods from now and then, but it just seemed to me that was awfully convenient. Bryce met them and stopped them there.
Yeah.
Just a little too convenient. Caleb hears a shot fired, goes to investigate, telling the others to stay in their cabins. Yeah, good luck with that.
Which I'm shocked that because Roy was going out there, Roy didn't stop Caleb. Maybe because Caleb's so much bigger. He's just like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, come on.
Yeah, that was really weird because I figured they would have, that's a shot you all kind of lay back. We're the agents, let us go.
Yeah.
And never even gave them a second look. They all just went towards to where they heard the shot come from. I was like, wow. That really struck me odd. I was like, damn.
Yeah. They should have done exactly what Caleb did to the others that came out of their camp. They should have put him back in his cabin and then went on.
There you go. Holla. And so they find Bryce and EJ on the ground with a gunshot wound to the stomach.
Yeah.
Or not
Which
Bryce.
one?
Yeah.
Was it Bryce or was it EJ?
It
looked like it was Bryce to me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And when that happened, I'm like, oh my God, no.
Another one gone.
So it might have been she did play him, but, instead of Bryce being the strong one, she flipped the flip and, had EJ. Maybe she figured Bryce was just going to be an easy mark. And then again, being that he was hesitant at first, she might have started talking to this EJ and figured, well, the hell with Bryce. Bryce is dragging his heels.
Right.
So apparently she flipped the flip. If that was, it looked like Bryce to me too. It was an odd camera angle.
Yes, it was.
It was really, really bizarre. I'm thinking back to a film, I forget what year it was, called Jagged Edge, had Jeff Bridges and the woman that was in Fatal Attraction, Glenn Close, and he's at the end of the film, and the way that he shot, like people were asking critics, film critics, who exactly is that person in that final shot? Because the camera's at a funky angle, and you couldn't quite tell. But this one here, it seemed like it was Bryce. So Roy radios for help as Caleb runs ahead screaming for Rebecca. Caleb knows she's drank the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
So that's going to be an interesting situation. I wonder if we're going to see Caleb actually in this next episode running into the woods further, or if he's going to, is Roy going to tell him, come on back to the camp? I could see him running into the woods for her. So we got the lovebirds, the tragic couple, Roy and Hannah, and Roy is, I hate saccharin. So Roy is painting off the graffiti. Actually, the other guy is, and Hannah tries to talk to him, but he tells her he has to work.
Yeah,
Roy's
that's kind of obnoxious, though. At least ask her, what this means or something.
Right.
I think he thinks he knows, what the deal is. He doesn't, but I think he thinks it's like, well, that's her boyfriend. So I'm out, the sad puppy thing. Later, Hannah finds Roy's doing some paperwork. She apologizes for leading him on, which to me was kind of odd. She said that. It was like, so you're admitting you let him on? That kind of suggests that if he has the suspicion, the picture of Marshall in there really is your boyfriend.
Yeah.
So it's like, I thought it was odd that she said that to him. Maybe she felt that's what she should say. And she explains how she was anxious to make a friend, and she didn't consider how things might be from his perspective. That's fair enough. And she realizes he's now reluctant to talk to her, but gives him flowers, one yellow and one white tied with hemp. Yeah! And I love her already. And in her time, the two flowers symbolized an apology.
See, I wasn't sure if it was just two flowers or the colors or what the deal was.
I think it was the color.
Okay.
Yeah, one yellow, one white is...
Well, it's just like roses.
White is kind of...
peacemaking.
Yeah, a symbol for surrender.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I can see that.
Just like roses, like a red rose is supposed to mean love, a white rose is supposed to mean friendship, not deep affection, love, a white rose, so it could have been that's what the yellow and the white meant. I could see, like Steve's saying, white is the symbol of surrender. You put up the white flag. It's kind of like you're humbling yourself.
Right.
Kind of a thing. And yellow probably just means, oh, I feel so embarrassed I wet my pants. Who knows what the future holds?
Who knows?
Yep.
Oh, let's talk about somebody from the first arrival, shall we?
Who?
Eve.
Okay.
Or Snake, whatever we want to call her.
Snake?
She has Paul set up in a nice little hidey hole house. interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so you're able to find a place for him and it's all cool, but the rest of them are stuck at the camp. Got it. She's bringing him food and acting like, oh, it's no big deal. So she obviously hasn't told him, oh yeah, I got remarried and there's a kid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. He kind of questions, well, why can't I go with you to your place?
Yeah.
You just can't.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. Oh, hey, look, raspberries. It's like, what is he? Like a kid with ADD? It's like, let me distract him with this.
I like how he said we had some at the camp.
Right.
I
think at this point, yeah, he's like, all right, something's not right, which I'm happy he's saying that.
Yeah.
Well, she's just trying to give him perks for working with her. It's like, oh, you did the little video I wanted to, and now we're reunited, so look at this nice home you get to stay in instead of the camp. I think it's just like, you're working with us, even though she's probably not wording it that way to him. You get a little perk, you get a nice home, I'm bringing you food.
Yeah, but I think that video is finally, like, weighing on him, because after she leaves, and I'm surprised they didn't somehow, like, pat him down for anything, but he still has Jude's card, and he calls him and tells him about that video.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't take that from him, too.
But
surprised.
He doesn't tell Jude who made him do the video.
Right.
Because, I mean, I get it. He doesn't want to give up his wife, but at the same time, he's like, I think they're going to have something really bad happen to everybody, and it's all going to be because of this tape. So, I'm glad he warned Jude. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Because Jude was like, oh, crap.
Yeah. We got to save these people.
Right.
I think because of everything going on, Jude's spidey senses are like in constant tingling mode. So even what Paul did tell him, that's almost like a full page. Here's what you need to know, even though I didn't tell you, for Jude to say, I'm going to go into action.
Right.
Yeah. Jude doesn't need that much now to spring to action at this point. So.
Oh man. But we have more happening.
Oh.
We have Lindauer. Oh, Lindauer, I don't like you. Getting notified about the graffiti.
Yep.
And he's talking to Eve about it later, and he's like, are we now the people who are doing this and causing people to ask this question? And, oh my God, Eve. She's like, what, are you doubting the plan? And I was actually on board with Lindauer for a second.
Yep.
When he's like, every time somebody shows an ounce of compassion, you think they're doubting what the overall plan is.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. Is he maybe going to come over to the side of good? Which I knew wasn't going to happen, but.
Well, maybe if it does not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys think maybe?
I think maybe, because this is the second time we've seen him act that way.
Right.
This is the second kink in the armor here.
Not really liking this idea of mass killing.
No, he's remembering what the original idea was. Go to the past so that you can correct the future from happening the way that it did. Because in the future, a lot of people were getting killed for the wrong reasons. So we're going to go to the past and change what's going to be history so that when we get to the future, everything's different. And now this mass killing that she's going to, even though they didn't mention it the first time he showed compassion, now this is why we're seeing the second kink in his armor of, this is not why we're here. You're going to do like a Jonestown type of deal. This isn't what we came here for. This isn't supposed to be.
He's afraid they're becoming Apex.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think he just might do a flop over.
Yeah.
I think he just might. Yep. Because let's face it, wouldn't you love to see a showdown between him and Eve?
I would.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
But then we still get another bomb dropped on us as he goes home that evening. And we see a daughter.
Yeah, not only did a bomb drop, my jaw dropped.
Yeah, this was like, whoa.
With the mark, the brand, named Rachel.
Was it? I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was Rachel.
Called her Rachel.
I did not catch that.
Yes, he did.
And the book she's in is Cryptography and Cryptanalysis.
Whoa. I don't think
she could have known Naomi.
Sure she could have. They both have that brand.
Interesting.
Yes. Those are the only two people we have seen so far who have that same brand.
Right.
Naomi knows how to write in the Apex language, which studying cryptography and cryptoanalysis would be helpful, just like studying hieroglyphics in order to translate.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's when he said Rachel was the first jaw to the floor.
Yeah.
See, I'm like, what?
Yeah, seeing the kid, that was the first. Then the second one was when he said Rachel. Then the third time was looking at what she's studying. I was like, oh my God.
Right. And she looked like she was barely early 20s.
Yeah.
So the young girl that came with the first arrival
would be about that age.
Would be about 10. So, yeah, that all adds up.
Oh, lordy. So maybe he's worried about something happening to his daughter if you have this mass killing, and just like you have collateral damage when you drop a bomb, because there are no surgical strikes. Sorry, military. That something could happen to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we saw Lindauer, for the jerk that he is, having a lot more compassion and remembering and wanting to stick with the original plan more than anybody else.
Right.
That's why I think he's going to do a flop over. He's going to switch over.
Interesting.
Right. And hopefully Delia won't kill him before he gets to flip.
Yeah. Please don't let her find out about him.
Right.
I want to see the showdown, just like Harry and Voldemort. I want to see a showdown between Lindauer and Eve. Please, please, please. Come on.
Yeah, we got 2 episodes. Let's make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I want to drop that popcorn on the floor.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, did we get any feedback today?
Oh, we sure did. Once again, our best feedbacker ever, Fred, has sent us some feedback. So let's take a listen.
Hello, Fangirl Zone podcasters. This is Fred from the Netherlands with some feedback for the 47 Survivor podcast about The Crossing Season 1, Episode 9. First off, I just got the double episode season finale available to watch, but I will stay away from that until I have recorded this feedback first. I don't want to be influenced by that in giving my feedback here now. Second remark, this is the 10th of June and I have recently watched the first 2 episodes of the new NBC series Reverie. I have to say I do like that series. Still a little less than The Crossing, but that is logical because, in general, after 2 episodes you're not that invested into the main characters as after 9. For listeners that don't know it, Reverie is about a former hostage negotiator, Mara Kind, played by Sarah Sahi, an expert on human behavior. She takes a job saving people whose minds are lost in an advanced virtual reality simulation called Reverie. In the process, Kind begins to work through a personal tragedy of her own past. For me, the first episode gave me a kind of Ready Player One feeling, but that is rapidly changing after seeing the second episode as well. Okay, the episode. Hope smiles from the threshold. In this episode, we learn that the lady in the back of the pub, who she was. It's Diana, or aka Mary Smith. In my last feedback I said, is she good? Is she bad? Is she one of the people from the first arrival group? Is she with or against Lindauer and Dr. Greta Pryor, or Eve? I checked episode 5 in which the first arrival group comes together, and she was not one of them. Now, it's nice to know which important role she has played in the future, and it's nice that she survived. That I was not able to find her in looking back at the first arrival group in episode 5 was of course logical, because she was in the second arrival group, and like Reese, she was aside from the rest of the main group. You actually should change the name of your podcast into the 49 Survivors podcast. By the way, my analysis of how large the first arrival group was in your episode 5 podcast was 25. And see here, Diana confirms that. And indeed, it were 25, plus 1 child. At the end of the episode, we learn that this child is Rachel, Caleb and Rebecca's daughter. Cool twist. I wonder what fight that will give. It seems that how bad Lindauer may be, he is looking like a nice and caring father. After Jude and Diana finished their game of hide and seek, I liked the cooperation between Diana, Jude and Esther. We all were also right about that landing up in the water by the second group was due to a calibration mistake caused by all the chaos at the departure. Of course, we now know that the first arrival group did arrive at the planned location. Funniest moment of the episode, when Jude and Nestor are in Diana's workroom, Jude asks, "What is this?" And there are all kinds of machines and drawings there, and the look on his face is just gold. And then Diana answers, "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." Later she explains that one of the machines should report possible new arrivals. Later on, Nestor is putting that thing in the evidence room at the police station, and when he turns his back to it and walks out, I was fully expecting the needle would move, indicating a new arrival, without anybody knowing it then. We know Diana is going to build something to let people disappear, and we really wonder how that will work out. I have one little nitpick. If they are going to work together, suddenly Marshall is there to help. Why did he came from? So suddenly, okay, that he is going to help, I understand, but there is no introduction how he suddenly landed up there. Last questions. I wonder why Agent Forrest lied to Lindauer about Naomi. Is it because he is starting to believe the whole story about people coming from the future, and is starting to believe what Jude mentioned to him before, about that people at the top are making strange decisions? Or is he really going for Naomi's commercial offer? Well, biggest question now is, will he survive? Okay, greetings, all the best, Fred from the Netherlands.
Well, I'm glad you didn't decide to spoil the last 2 episodes.
Thank you, Fred.
I know it's kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
I think feedbacker is a new position on a football team, isn't it? Yeah. Linebacker and feedbacker.
There you go.
Now, Fred's always got some cool stuff.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
And your comment about Reverie, I couldn't agree more with you. I am watching it, so.
I have not, but we will be talking about it.
Yes, we will be talking about it on a future episode of Sci-Fi Talk. So. Now, as far as this episode goes, wow.
Well, I liked his comment about Diana, the woman in the back of the pub. I found it interesting, his comment about she wasn't, what was it, episode 5, wasn't in the first group.
Right.
And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I really don't remember, because that's the first time they've highlighted her.
Well, doesn't she point out that she came to you, but it was like later or further down or something?
I think she does. Well, he says it's the second group.
Right, she came with the second group.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, jeez.
Remember, because we saw that flash forward, back forward thing.
Yeah.
Where she and her wife are like standing at the doorway of the Disney ride. And, so.
With that long line, yeah.
Yeah, which when I first heard the thing, I was like, then I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah, she was on the second group, duh. That's how she was around. So.
And screen capture of, all the people there in episode 5 that showed up. You nailed it with, being 25. Well done, sir.
That's a great screenshot. Love it. Yep. Love it.
+1. Yeah.
One.
Well, I was still unsure about who the child was. I'm glad that everybody was on board, that they all knew who it was. I wasn't 100% until I think, like you said, Lindauer's face.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I mean, just the way his face turns.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I was commenting just that look.
He just went into mass panic mode.
He went from I'm tough to uh-oh in like 0.6 seconds.
Right.
Well, that was definitely a jaw dropper.
Right.
As they said the name.
I guess you can say that, yeah, he did appear to be a good father, and maybe that's where some of his, shall we say, issues with Eve are coming through, because he wouldn't apparently do that to his family. So.
No.
I don't know, but again, and I don't know. I hate him so much in this and like him in another show of ours, but
Yeah.
anyway. I was going to say, so with them talking about landing in the water, we do actually have confirmation with this episode why they landed, like I think we were talking about earlier. And I'm glad that, it wasn't actually planned. I'm going to just dump everybody in the water. But this finally does give, like, final thoughts to what we were talking about much earlier in the season. And I think, Terry, you brought it up, like, way back, episode probably 2, that maybe there wasn't water in that area originally.
Right.
Or at the point in time they were at.
Exactly. And here it was just, they were so rushed. It's like, coordinates, here, just hit the button.
Hope for the best. Hope you're not in a mountain.
Yeah. It's like nobody brought their water moccasins with them, apparently. So.
No swim shoes.
I like my idea better.
Well, that made total sense. And then now it's just like, there was a lot of stuff happening. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, when we finally saw the flashback forward back scene, when everybody was like rushing in after the bombing started, it was like, when chaos sets in, logic and taking your time tend to go out the window. So that cleared that part up.
Yes. And then the funny moments. Yeah, you know what? She's so deadpan. I actually loved it because it worked perfect.
Yes.
With what's that? You wouldn't believe me if I told you. It's like, oh, okay. But then he's going to side eye it like, should I be worried?
I'm still saying French press.
She really likes her coffee.
I wonder if her wife is the comic relief of the two of them. Like she's Dr. Deadpan and her wife is Captain Comedy.
Oh, jeez.
They never know that sometimes opposites attract, they say. Yep. So.
And good to know that you also thought that the needle was going to just start moving randomly. Like,
kind
of thought it could happen as well.
That would have been so cool. I liked his point where he got into Marshall all of a sudden showing up.
Right, and being all gung-ho.
We were saying, or at least I was, we were talking about it earlier about, well, he's all crazy about Hannah and he wants to jump in and now all of a sudden, and Nestor, of course, is kind of giving him the side-eye thing. It's like, you're the local bad boy. Now you want to be Mr. Tough and you want to jump in. And of course, I think it was Steve or somebody was saying about, can't have any more casualties. We have had enough civilians involved and getting in trouble. And then how the whole thing ended up playing out, of course, at the gate was really awesome. But yeah, I thought that was kind of odd that all of us, you could, like I said, you could logicalize it in saying he's crazy for Hannah. And even Nestor says that when he gets to the gate. But it was kind of an odd thing, thinking back, listening to Fred's comments. It was like, all of a sudden now he's like, because he didn't believe her, and the first time they met very briefly several episodes ago, he's kind of looking at her like, first he's like gaga-eyed over, and then he's listening to her talk, and he's like, I don't think this girl's right. And then now all of a sudden it's kind of come full circle.
Right.
But forget that it was Jude who decided that, yes, they needed to hide Diana away, and his place of hiding her was at Marshall's trailer.
Exactly. Yep, true.
That's really how Marshall got involved in all this. She ended up in the trailer, so. And
he's hooking them up.
As far as Foster, we still don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't believe, though.
Or what?
I do not believe that he was on board with the offer, though, Fred. I think he's just not really feeling that Lindauer is being truthful.
Right.
So he's not buying what he's selling, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had mentioned that we didn't think Foster was drinking Lindauer's Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
exactly.
And will he survive?
It's not looking good.
I never feel good when somebody suddenly is like, oh, you thought you were the good guy, now you know what's up, and now you are the good guy, you ain't gonna make it.
Right.
Red shirt all over the place.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the sure sign. Adios, amigo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Fred, thanks for your fantastic feedback.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fred.
Appreciate it as always. And
right.
Yes, keep up the good work.
Thanks,
and let us know how Italy was.
Well, once again, we want to thank everybody that is live tweeting with us. Always a blast tweeting with you guys, and it's so much fun and so enjoyable interacting with you. We can't say thank you enough for it.
So don't. And we ask that please review and rate us over on that thing called iTunes. You know, with good ratings and reviews, it helps other fans of the show find us, and God knows we need to be found. Because, boy, we're lost some days ourselves. So please tell your friends, and we hope that you are enjoying this podcast.
And, of course, we ask you to check out our website, www.fangirlzone.com. And you can find all of our contacts there. If you're not sure, we have Twitter at 47survivors. Our Facebook is at FGZone. Our Instagram is at the Fangirl Zone Podcast. And you can always send us emails at contactus@fangirlzone.com.
Oh, I like that. So for this episode, this is Terry signing off saying, for my humor, here's a yellow and a white flower, but I'm keeping the hemp. Catch y'all for the finale.
And this is Steve. People who don't have the strength to knock you over the head for your money resort to other means, like promising they're going to save the world.
And until next time.